to Facebook article. Camera holder's getting a little tired. All right, we'll do the best we can. YouTube looks fine. All right, better. Good. So, I forgot my watch. Oh, I broke my watch. So, gosh knows how long this is going to go on. Sorry. I'll try and keep up. I'm not great with time sometimes, but all right. Happy YouTube. I'm going to ask a favor before we get started. If you primarily watch me on Facebook, head over to YouTube, and if you would subscribe there, I'll put the link in the live video. I'll put it down there later. And then vice versa, if you normally watch me on YouTube, if you want to pop over to Facebook and like the Any Day Yoga page there, that would help me out. If you have friends that you think might be interested, or whatever, just comment and share with people. Feel free to do that. Make sure you're liking, on there. So I'm just trying to kind of grow the audience and keep engaged, right? So I'm not always great at that. So if I could get your help, that would be lovely. Today we're going to work, and if you saw my Facebook post, it was a picture of the world on fire and me going, hey, let's do yoga. And that's precisely why we do yoga, right? We've got to get right. Got to get right here, and then we can go out and do what we need to out there without losing our minds, because I know sometimes. But today, I can't remember what inspired this. We want to work on not only being flexible, but also being strong. Oh, I think I saw a thing on hypermobility and whether people should practice yoga if they're hypermobile. And yes. We want to be very careful, especially if you are hypermobile, that you're not just kind of allowing yourself to, be thrown into things, right? When I see, and it freaks me out, and it's not my realm, I guess maybe is a nice way to say it. I don't know. Like dancers, especially when their joints are hyperextended, right? Like the knees go backward instead of being directly aligned, straight legs, right? Their straight leg is way back there. So, but the point is, sorry, I'm starting to ramble, that we want to make sure that we're strong as well, right? Because if you have all of this flexibility with no strength, you can hurt yourself, right? So everyone thinks, oh, you have to be flexible to not hurt yourself. Well, yes, but there's the middle, right? So we're going to practice the middle a little bit. We're going to stretch into those muscles, move into those joints a little bit, but really working on remaining strong within that. Okay. So the first thing we want to think about is the belly, and I know that sounds like, what does the belly have to do with my knee? But we'll see. So go ahead and take a seat. And we're going to talk about that core strength and that core engagement. And the idea behind this is, even when we're in these poses that move into the joints and into the muscles, we're still engaged with it. Right? So we're hugging into the middle to keep that strength, to keep the stability, and then working into whatever we can get for the flexibility. For some of us, that's very deep, and some of us, that's barely noticeable. Just how we are. So let's find the belly, aligning the heels as much as you can. Take inner thigh rotation here so you feel upright on your pelvis, as always. Right? And I talk about this every class, but we're really going to focus on it today. Lifting the pelvic floor, pulling the lower belly in and up, and then being tall and strong through the sides. Remember, you have to leave that upper belly soft so we can breathe. And then try and relax into your hips. So make the work here and not here. Relaxing your shoulders extending out through the crown of your head. So we have all this drawing in the middle, but extending away through the top of the head for now. That's where our extension is. So relaxing your shoulders, close your eyes, and just sit with this for a second. And I know it seems like you're sitting doing nothing, right? But really pay attention to whether this is engaged, but maybe I lost that. Or when I engaged this, my hips had to squeeze, right? So I have to relax my hips. Just kind of check in and see what's happening in the body, even as you just sit here. Right? So finding the flexibility of the hips without losing the strength and integrity of the lower belly. And it's work. And it should be work. That's the whole point. So bringing that awareness to your breath. Allow it to expand. And notice whether when you inhale or when you exhale, something shifts. Right? Sometimes when we inhale, we can hug in a little bit better, but then we squeeze into our hips, and then you can exhale and sort of release, but maybe you release too much. Just kind of notice what naturally occurs in your body. And keeping that awareness, work to stay engaged, yet open and flexible where you can be. Got these nice deep yoga breaths going. And you have to keep everything that we've said here and now add movement in. With the next inhale, take the arms and stretch them up to the ceiling. Exhale, bring them back down again. Inhaling up. Take those fingers and stretch them as far away from the body as you can, but plug your shoulders back in. Exhale down. Even the arms have to do that same idea. One more time like that, stretching away, yet drawing in with the shoulders. Releasing back to the floor. And then we're going to take the right hand over to the left knee, the left hand behind the back. Gentle little twist over to the left here. What's going on in your pelvis? What's going on with your hips? What's going on with your breath? And even here, your arms. Are your shoulders plugged in where they're supposed to go? Releasing back to center, do the same thing over to your second side. Just a nice, easy, gentle little twist. Find your foundations. Find that idea of hugging in and yet releasing. Finding that center place where you're flexible and strong. And then releasing that back to center. Let's take the first side again. Moving a little bit deeper into the twist, but keeping and maintaining that integrity of the core and your foundation. Big length in the spine. Full breaths. Gently release that back to center. Take your second side again with that same idea. Maybe a little bit deeper into the twist, but with everything else that we've already had set. We're going to release that back to the middle again. And bring ourselves around into an all fours position. So think about your belly even as you move into this position. Right? The whole way you get over there, plant your hands, knees under hips, noticing the neutral spine. Keeping that integrity in the belly. Engage into the four corners of the palms, right? If you want to draw a little more strength into your hands and arms here, pressing down into the four corners, right? Four corners of the palm, and then imagine pulling with your fingertips toward the hand, right? So the palm is going to stay on the floor, but the fingers are pulling as if they could come up underneath. Feel it? So keeping all of that engagement, let's go ahead and move in through some cat-cows, inhaling the belly toward the floor, lifting the tailbone and the face, and then exhaling and rounding the spine toward the ceiling. Think forehead to belly button. And then with the breath here, smoothly in and out between those two. And maybe notice here, you get a little saggy in the middle as you inhale. If you re-engage the belly. Let's take one more flow. And then find your middle again. Check in, make sure we're still engaged here. Let's go ahead and extend the right leg straight back and work the leg, right? So really engage. Press through the heel. Press through your big toe knuckle. Feeling the leg work, feeling your belly work. Extending left arm forward, reaching away from the body, but again, plugging the shoulder back into what feels like the joint, right? So we're reaching away, but we're keeping the integrity of the spine, essentially. Right? If you left the hip or stretch the shoulder forward, everything goes a little crazy. Let's release that. And then do the same thing on the second side. So extend your left leg back. Press through the heel, press through your big toe knuckle. Ball underneath the foot right there. Reaching the right arm forward when you're ready. Thinking about your left hand. Are your fingers still pulling toward the body or toward the hand? So it looks like nothing, but it should feel like work. We're going to release that back to the floor. Go back to the first side. We're going to add on a little bit here. So extend the right leg back, left arm forward, keeping that same engagement. Take the arm over to the left and bring the leg around to the right. Press through the heel, your big toe knuckle there, stretching through the left fingertips, but keeping the shoulder plugged in. And breathe, and this the right hand is working. Release the left hand to the floor, take your toes over to the side, and come up on your left knee. If you need to cushion this knee, certainly do. Heel in line with the hip. Draw in toward the body. Take this left arm up and over. This is another place where that left arm can kind of sag toward the face or down toward the chest. Plug the shoulder back into where it's supposed to go. And then let's inhale, come on up. Release the hands back to the floor. Engage the four corners and the fingers. How about lifting that right leg and just holding it out there? Press through the heel, press through your big toe knuckle. Don't worry about how high this leg is. Make it work. Take the leg back and then down. All right, so that same one to the second side. Take the left leg back, the right arm forward. Keep the engagement as you take the arm to the right, the leg around to the left. Release the hand, take the toes to the floor, and come up on the right knee. So engage here, and hug into the middle. Reaching the right arm up and over. And then with an inhale, we'll make our way back up. Release the hands, re-engage, hug in, lifting that left leg away from the floor. And take it back, and then down. So once more, we're going to extend the right leg. This time, bend the knee. So we're still hugging into the middle. We're still trying to keep our pelvis level as much as we can. We're going to take that, ground the four corners of the left hand, and then lean just enough to lift the right. Maybe see if you can find the foot. So become a little bit open with this right hip. That's all right. Find your balance, and then see if you can reestablish the neutral, well, not neutral spine, but the hips being square to the floor. Think about your left hand, think about your belly, think about your breath. Gently release and bring it back down. So every movement is intentional as much as possible. I mean, sometimes we wobble and thing, right? But try to move very intentionally. So let's go to the left side, extending the left leg and then bending the knee. Shifting to the right just enough to lift the left hand. And if this is where you're working, no big deal. You're still doing the same things, right? Belly's engaged, four corners of that right hand are happy. You're working with your balance, maybe finding the left foot. Keeping the hips as square as you can the whole time. And then gently releasing that as well. Finding your neutral spine, we'll go ahead and sit back into a child's pose. And if you'd like here, you can really just release, right? Let all that squeezing in kind of go a little bit. Taking the hands back by the heels if that feels best for you right now. From our child's pose, let's move into down dog. So stretch the arms away, re-engage the four corners of the hands, pull the fingers in if you're working there, and then lift the knees away from the floor. And wiggle around. Making sure you found where your feet should be. Right? The temptation is to walk the feet closer to the hands than they should be, but see what you can do if not. Right? And if you're not sure, test it out in a blank. Okay? The hands and feet should remain roughly in the same position from one to the other. Allowing yourself to just kind of settle into it. Imagine pulling the palms toward each other. Hug the arms in. Keep the belly working like crazy. And then lift the right leg. Keep everything else as it is. Turning your right toes out to the right, open that right hip. And take that leg high. Bending the knee. Keeping the shoulders level. And then releasing that. Again, moving with intention. Switching sides, lift the left leg. Keep the hips square for a moment. Extend away from the body with that left heel. But imagine drawing in that lower belly. Notice what that does for your hips. Keep that idea with your arms so your shoulders stay level as you open the hip and bend the knee. Releasing that side. Once again, go ahead and drop down, take your child's pose. And then back into down dog. So we're going to walk the feet up to meet the hands, coming into standing fold. Bringing the feet up underneath the hip bones. Now your legs get to do what your hands have been doing. For a moment here, just plant the feet up underneath the hip bones with the toes pointing forward, and maybe just kind of walk in place a little bit. Be a little bit more relaxed about it. Hands are where they are. And then come to a center, pressing down into the four corners of the feet. So we don't want to grip the toes like we gripped with the fingers, but we definitely want to push down into the feet like we push down with the hands. Yeah. And if your knees need to be bent to make it happen, certainly do. I'll turn sideways for a second. We want to bring the belly to touch the thighs. And then take the arms behind the legs and squeeze the legs in toward the torso here. Try not to squeeze your knees together, leave that integrity. If you can take your legs straighter, give that a go. Keep the shoulders down and back as much as you can. Pressing down into the four corners of the feet. We're going to release the arms. Keep the knees bent here if you'd like. Take the fingers this time to interlace behind your lower back. Pull the shoulders together on the back, stretch the knuckles away. Keep the belly in contact with the thighs if you can. Shoulders far, far away from the ears. Pressing down into the feet. Feeling the engagement of the belly. Extending out the crown of the head here as well. Let's gently release the arms. Bringing the hands to the thighs, lift the upper body parallel-ish to the floor. Find the neutral spine. Again, belly engaged, lean on the legs if you need. This time, bend into your knees, making your way to chair. Four corners of the feet, belly's drawn in, shoulders are down and back. Right? Hang on if you need. Extend the arms if you like. Keep lifting your chest. And instead of staying on the four corners of the feet, let's come up on the toes. Hug into the middle. Stay on your toes if you can. Reach to the ceiling. Inhale. And then exhale and release it all. All right. So we're warm, right? Let's take some sun salutes. Working as we always do, remembering to use your breath. Modify when you need to modify. So inhaling, we're reaching the arms. Exhaling, taking it into fold. Inhaling, come halfway up. And then exhale, take yourself back into a plank. Knees if you'd like knees, elbows take to the sides as you lower to the belly. Little roll of the shoulders, baby cobra, inhaling. Exhale, make your way back to down dog. And then inhale, step the feet forward into fold. Halfway up on the next inhale. Fold back over. And then reach back to the ceiling. Exhaling the arms. So as we move through that sequence, pay attention to what gets a little lax because we're focused on flowing with the breath, right? And remember to re-engage. So again, inhale and reach. Exhale and fold. Halfway up on an inhale. Back into plank. All the way down. Cobra. And down dog. Inhaling, step forward. Halfway up. Back into the fold. All the way up. And release. As always, we're going to do one more like that, but you're on your own. You follow your breath, you take your modifications, and I'll need you to remember that. All right, so here we go. Inhale, reach. And go. To think about an engagement at the same time? Hopefully the answer is yes, or mostly. Right? So we've got one more we're adding on, of course. Remember, that is always your option. On an inhale here, we sit into chair. And then exhale to fold. Halfway up. Back to plank. Down to the belly. Inhale, cobra. Back to down dog. Inhaling the right foot forward, lunge. Toes all the way up there. Heel or knee to the mat, we lift the upper body. And exhale back down. Into down dog. Forward for plank. And down. Cobra. Down dog. Left foot forward on an inhale. Heel or knee to the mat, lift. Back down again. Down dog. And back to plank. Exhaling down. Into cobra. And back to down dog. So hold your down dog or drop into child's pose. If you're in down dog, engage a lot or just a little. Resting in your child's pose if you need a bigger break. Lifting back into down dog if you did drop down. And with a nice inhale, we'll step forward into the fold. Coming halfway up. Folding back over. Into chair. And releasing the arms. All right. So now with those. It's so warm. And August is done. So let's go ahead and take a short step back with the left foot. All 10 toes pointing forward. So pressing down through the four corners of both feet as we bend into this left knee. If you need to adjust your feet, certainly do. Hug into the middle. So not only side to side, right, hugging in, but hugging in with this right and left foot coming together. You're not going to, of course, but that's the energy drawing into that middle. Little tuck of the tailbone if you feel like your lower back is getting a little pinched. Make sure that stays nice and long. And then extending the arms. And the same idea as we were talking about before. The fingertips reach away without the shoulders lifting. Right? So plug them back in. So finding the extension, finding the strength, finding your stretch. And from here, let's open it up into warrior two. So arms parallel to the floor, right arm on right leg. Open up those feet a little wider. Check in that you can see just your big toe beyond your right knee. Same idea though. Once you find where your feet should be, press down and pull together. So we're really making the legs work. We're extending through the crown of the head, the belly is engaged, the fingers reach away without the shoulders getting out of place. Take the left hand to the back of the left thigh. Turn the right palm toward the ceiling and reach up. Plug the right shoulder back in. And see if you can lift your chest toward the ceiling. So the legs are still doing what they've been doing. Maybe this right arm can come alongside the right ear. Tons of space. Big full breath. Back to warrior two. Take the right arm, rest it on the right thigh, bring the left arm over the ear. Gosh, let the hips sink. And if you need to open your feet a little wider, keeping the right knee and ankle stacked. Hugging with the legs. Engage the belly, keep this left shoulder plugged in. And then release it over into a lunge. So wiggle around into this right hip a little bit if it's getting over it. And then find the four corners of the right foot. Hopping the back toes in until you can lift the left leg away from the floor. Press through the heel, press through the big toe knuckle. Leave your hands on the floor if you need to. Or take the hands either to the thigh, flying down the sides, out to the sides, or forward if that's you. Pull into the middle here. Pressing up and out of the right hip. Extending out through the heel, the head, maybe the fingers, depending on where they are. And then release it back to fold. Let yourself hang out for a second. So maybe walk in place, wiggle. Bending into the knees, we'll go ahead and roll up through the spine, back to standing. So you feel like you've been working a little bit, hopefully. We'll go to the second side, same idea. Short step back to begin with the right foot. Checking in with the feet, making sure the toes point forward. Four corners of the feet engaged, hugging into the middle, all of the work of the lower body, and then extending the arms if and when you're ready. Opening into warrior two, adjusting your feet, and then engaging. Pressing down, pulling together, using your belly. Extending out the crown of your head. Right hand to the back of the right thigh, left palm toward the ceiling, reach it up, and then plug that left shoulder back in. Letting the chest open, lengthening through the crown of your head. Is your belly still working? Let's go back to warrior two. Bending the left elbow, resting on the thigh, bring the right arm up and over. Let's release it, coming over into our lunge. Take a second to kind of wiggle and adjust. And then we're gonna plant that left foot, hop in with the right, lifting the toes away from the floor. Making that right leg just as active as the left. Lifting the upper body parallel to the floor, taking the arms where they need to go. Feeling strong and stable. A couple more nice big breaths. And then release it back to the floor. Again, just gonna let yourself hang. And then we're gonna roll back up again. Knees bent, inhale, come on up. All right, so taking a standing balance anyway, right? The upper body upright. Sometimes that's a little easier. The brain just is more comfortable here, right? So let's step away from your mat, narrow well if you need to, of course. Just working with tree, but we're really gonna use that idea of hugging in to help stabilize us. So all the weight back into the right foot. Go ahead and lift left. Open at the knee. So if you just kind of let yourself go, right, you can sling this knee way out and then it throws everything off. So instead, hug in. Bring the foot in, hug the foot into the leg, that'll help, right? All to the middle. Taking the hands where you want the hands. So maybe just center, lift them, you can take them out to the sides if that helps with your balance. Ground into that right foot and hug into the middle. Stare at a focal point in front of you if you're still struggling. You can look up at the ceiling if you'd like. But really focus on that drawing into the middle and just see how that changes tree for you. A very simple-ish pose. See how you can change it just by really working with muscles. We're going to release that side. And then move to the second. So maybe play with it and start off in a little bit more just finding your balance, relaxed kind of idea, and then really hug in and see if that doesn't light it up. So all the way to the left. Open the right knee. Bring that foot in. Remember to just avoid the knee joint, but your toes can be on the floor if they need to. So if you're struggling with your balance, bring that leg a little lower. Or maybe it's a flexibility in your hip thing and that foot needs to be lower. It's not a big deal. Hug in. Stand really tall. Stare your little lasers forward. Take the arms where you want to take the arms today. Breathe. Take another big breath. And then let's release it. So back to the top of the mat if you did step away. We're going to inhale, stretch the arms up. And then exhale yourself over into a fold. Just like before here, just let yourself be loose and relaxed. Maybe bend the knee, grab opposite elbow. From here, we're going to make our way back into a kneeling plank. Make the adjustments here. Four corners of the hands, maybe pulling your fingers in like we did earlier. The belly's engaged, shoulders are neutral on the back. And then let's go ahead and take the right foot out to the right and open the body to the left. Right hand, right knee, left toes at the back of the mat. Straight line as if you were kind of standing up. So engaging the belly, maybe lifting the arm, plugging the shoulder back in. You can lift the left leg. You can take a full plank. Any position that challenges you today. And then notice, am I still engaged through the right hand? Is my belly working? Is my spine tall? What's going on with this left leg? What's going on with the right leg? We're going to take just a couple more breaths. And then release back into the kneeling plank. So the same idea on the second side. Left foot to the left of the mat, opening the body to the right. So again, you're just checking in. Adding on, maybe. And then checking in again. Modifying, adjusting, breathing, and then releasing back to kneeling plank. Sitting back into a child's pose. And from child's pose, slide forward onto the belly. So grounding into the pelvis. Let's work with locust while we're here. Upper body first. Pressing down into your toenails. Pressing down into the pelvis so the lower back stays long. That's your foundation. Engage it into the floor. Taking the arms back by the sides and releasing behind your back if you prefer. Rolling the shoulders like cobra and extend forward through the sternum. Let yourself breathe, so if you rise and fall with your breath, that's totally okay. Are you still engaged with your feet? Tall through the spine, you're breathing. And then we're going to release it. If you haven't already, make a little pillow for your head with your hands, resting your chin or your forehead on the pillow. And then keeping the pelvis engaged. This time the legs are engaging a little different. Spread your toes. Press through the big toe. And lift your legs using hamstrings at least as much as your glutes. If you feel pinched in your lower back, just release it. Maybe start over or skate it. Releasing the legs. All right, so we'll add it all together, taking the arms down by your sides. Your pelvis is your foundation, so really engage in through the pelvis. As you inhale, roll your shoulders, extend through the sternum, extend through the big toes, and lift the legs. Breathe in. We'll release back to the floor. Make a little pillow with your head with your hands again, for your head with your hands. Toes point toward each other, just a gentle little rock on the hips, shake it all out. And then we'll bring the hands back by the sides. Hug the elbows in toward the body. Pressing into the knees, engage the belly. See if you can lift chest and belly up off the floor together into kneeling plank. And then back to child's pose. Let's sit back up on the heels. We're just going to be here for a little second. So if you prefer, just go ahead and come to a seated position. This is not good, right? Or you can prop. We're going to stretch our shoulders out a little bit. So keeping the integrity, right? So drawing into center. Let's go ahead and take the left arm out with the elbow bent at a right angle, and then bring the elbow in front. Taking the right arm under, between, catching your fingers to your left palm. Relax your shoulders, sit really tall. You can lift your elbows, you can move your hands closer to or further from your face. Kind of adjusting. Keeping the spine tall. Nice. Roll the shoulders. We'll switch. So the right arm out and in front. Left arm under, between. Maybe the fingers catching differently on this side. It really is. Relax your shoulders. Adjust the elbows, the hands. Keeping the spine nice and tall. Releasing the hands. Maybe roll your shoulders around a little bit. And we'll just bring ourselves around into a seated position. So let's start with the legs extended. Sitting up tall. We're going to work to keep the legs really active. So the toes are pointing toward the ceiling. We're pressing away with the legs, but pulling back in at the hip. Belly's working. Extend the arms up. Same idea with the shoulders. Plug them in where they belong. Lead with the chest coming forward into a fold. And then release the arms to where they fall. Okay. But the shoulders are still back. The legs are extended away. The hips are plugged in. Your spine is really tall. Does it change how it feels? Hopefully you do this more than the other. Big full breaths. On an inhale, let's come on back up. Release the arms. And we're going to work into both. So we're going to be here for a little while. Turn so that, move so that you have space to move to on your back here. So again, the hugging in is the work. And a lot of times I see people in boat and it's really wide. So whether you have to have your legs bent or straight, whatever, see if you can narrow your V with the body. We'll see as that goes along. So hang on to your hamstrings for a second. Lift your chest, plug your shoulders in. Feel your belly already. And then maybe just lift your toes. So this is a very narrow V. So the legs are close to the upper body. Yeah? You can keep the toes low. You can take the shins parallel to the floor, somewhere in between, maybe extending the legs slowly, but hug in, right? Lower is working your back more. Use your belly. Bring the soles of the feet together. Hang on to your ankles, pull them in. Keep using your belly, keep lifting your chest, lengthening your spine. You can maybe take your index and middle fingers and wrap around the big toes. Hugging into the middle. See if you can extend your right leg. Don't worry about straight. Maybe it goes straight, maybe it doesn't. Keep lifting your chest. Hug the hips in. Bring it back in. And then switch. So we're hugging into that center, staying stable, working the strength. Like the spine, you're breathing too, right? And then bring it back in. We're doing both. Bring it together, whether the legs are bent or straight. Hug in with the belly, and then let go. Lift your chest. Hang on to your hamstrings, and roll on down. Knees into the chest and the rock. And then taking the feet to the floor. We're going to work into just a little bit of a bridge. So the feet pretty close to the hips, not touching, hip bone distance apart. So we want to press down into the triceps, make sure your head is resting comfortably, press down into your feet, and imagine pulling your feet towards your hips to lift the hips away from the floor. So the arms can stay bent, they can go straight, they can interlace behind your back. Keeping the idea of drawing the feet in toward your shoulders. Tailbone tucked toward the knees, nice and long. Breathing. You could rest here if you like by placing a block underneath your pelvis. Or a blanket, bolster, whatever. And then we're going to release back down. Hold with the feet flat for a breath. Give your back a second. And then go ahead and draw your knees back in and rock. So let's take our final twist here. The knees can stay closer to the body or the feet can come to the floor. Any variation you like. Let the knees fall over to the right. And then move on back to the middle and let the knees fall over to the left. And then back to the middle. One more time. Knees hugging into the chest. Squeeze them in as tight as you can. And then release that, taking a full body stretch. Releasing the stretch and making your way into Shavasana. So whether you're flat on the floor, whether you're propped with a bolster, or you've got legs up the wall maybe. Some days you want a seated meditation, so that's fine as well. Find where your body wants to be. And it's okay to change, but try not to just shift and wiggle the whole time. Release the muscles. Keeping the mind quiet and present. If it starts to wander, just bring it back. Maybe focus on your breath, on how your backside feels against the mat. Just stay present. Giving yourself just a few minutes to soak it all in and really rest. Slowly drive in a deep, cleansing breath, and then let it go. Drawing the body to wiggle Move and stretch. Keeping the eyes closed and the mind quiet. Slowly make your way back to seated. Sitting well. Bring the palms to touch. Eyes in the light within. Namaste. So hopefully you feel both flexible and strong. Certainly let me know if you have any questions or any feedback, any poses that you want to do that we haven't done in a little while. And like I said, if you could please share and comment on posts, subscribe to my YouTube channel, which like I said, I'll make sure I get that link in the comments. And that's it. Have a great weekend. Try and stay cool for the next little bit. Stay out of a storm if you're in Florida, or apparently here too. And we will see you next time.